great about that, other than trying to help people who are in a state of need.
Welcome back to the Immigration Answer Show. It's your boy Jim Hacking. Today is January 4th, 2025, and this is episode 737 of the show. How is everybody doing? How is your weekend going? What is going on? I am in Syracuse, New York. See the S over my shoulder? See the lacrosse? So we're here for a softball camp. I'll show you the snow in a little bit, but it's amazing that we made it here. Nora and I spent a day and a half in New York City. We went to Chinatown. We went to the criminal courts, and Nora got to see a couple of arraignments, people getting released after being arrested. It was really neat to see the criminal courts, all the moving parts, the prosecutors, the judge, the defense attorneys, the bailiffs, the police. It was quite a production. We also saw a musical called The Outsiders on Broadway, which was really fun. And then yesterday, I drove 4 hours up to Syracuse, and the last 15 miles, it started blizzarding snow coming off of Lake Erie. Just, you wouldn't believe how much snow there was. I've never seen so much snow. Let me see if I can show you guys. Actually, it's sort of lightening up a little bit. It's not as snowing as hard as it was, but this is what softball at Syracuse University looks like. So we'll see. It's funny because the other school that invited Nora up was Minnesota, so she might be playing in a cold place. But Syracuse seems nice, and fingers crossed we're going to get out of here on a flight later today. There's snow headed towards St. Louis, so we'll see if we get out of here or not. My friend Hina's here. She'll be checking on the comments and helping me with logistics. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Remember, we're not having people on camera, and we're not having people with their full name. So if you have your full name in your name in the waiting room, I can't pull you up unless you have it shortened to just a first name or an alias. So glad to see everybody here. I see a lot of our usual suspects are here, and I thank everybody for being here. I'm going to go ahead and get started with PD. Hi, PD. PD, go ahead. All right. I guess PD is not there. Let's go to MH. MH, hello. You're on mute.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Good. Thank you for having this stream. It's actually my first time.
Oh, welcome. What can I help
Thank
you with?
Can I just post that in chat, and if it's possible, you can read it off instead of me saying my question. Is that possible?
I've never done that before, but let me see. Is it already in the comments or no?
I'm gonna post it right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
That's interesting. I've never done it that way. Hi. I'm sort of in the.
You're fine.
Sorry about that. MH, I don't see your question. You want to just go ahead and ask it to me? Oh, MH is out. That was weird. Let's go to Cameron. Hi, Cameron. How are you?
Hey, Jim. How's everything going? Happy holidays, Happy New Year, and everything like that.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. I just had a quick inquiry. Going backwards, we traveled to New York for the first time with their temporary green card stamp, and my spouse got hers. I have both of their social securities cards, but for our kid, I haven't seen any update as far as like them making the green card or anything like that, and it'll be 90 days on the 7th of January.
Hmm.
So my question is like, do I just wait a little bit after that to see what happens, or as soon as 90 days comes with no update, I start inquiring with USCIS about it?
Did you pay an Ellis fee for the kid?
Yes, I paid both of theirs at the same time.
And you get receipts for both?
Yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
wouldn't. I don't think you need to wait 90 days. I'd start calling them now and seeing what's up.
Okay. Because like on the app, it says that they received that. I guess it's the visa immigrant fee or whatever. But yeah, like hers got done within like 2.5, maybe 3 weeks after visiting. But like his, like I mentioned, no update or anything. So I'm wondering like if the two things were together, why did they overlook one?
Oh, that happens sometimes. I would just go ahead and call them.
Okay. All right. That's pretty much it. Thanks for your help.
Bye, Cameron. See you, bud. All right, let's go to Unlucky January. Hello.
Hello, Jim. Salam alaikum. How you doing?
Walaikum salam. I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Just want to start off with a bunch of interesting info. If it hasn't been done already, you've blessed us with 229 shows in 2024. Last one is on December 23rd.
I didn't count. So how many?
So
200 and
230 exactly.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's a
so
lot.
that averages about 2 shows every 3 days or every other day. So that's you've been blessing us this year.
Awesome. Thanks for the count.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the first question I have is the last show of January 2024 was absolutely insane, that New Year's night. And there were
Oh
very
yeah.
important topics. That show was absolutely nuts.
No.
One of the topics you mentioned in one of the calls about the K1, in the Muslim world or in the Middle Eastern world where the fiancés usually involve an Islamic nikah, but
Yeah.
usually not registered with the government. So this is very important. I really want to know this. What is your take on doing an Islamic nikah without having it legally binding to go for a K1 visa? How is it perceived with the State Department?
I would say I would drill down a little bit more and I would say it depends on the embassy because I think that different embassies treat it differently based on their familiarity with the way Muslim relationships go. And so the only time I've ever seen this be a problem where they accuse married people, engaged people of being married is when it's from a predominantly Muslim country and the officers or the consulate sort of convinced that too much has happened in this relationship to just be an engagement, if that makes sense. I don't think it's just the nikah or not. I think it's more about what's in the photos that you submitted, how have they been acting, did they move in together right away or did they not? I really think that it's a little bit more subjective, and I also think it's them just picking when they want to do it and when they don't. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. But if an Islamic nikah has taken place that is not legally binding, how's that
I agree.
accusation?
I
How can
agree.
they accuse us with that?
I agree. But I think generally it's the conduct after the fact or around the fact. I don't think it's just in the nikah. Like I would say that the few times that this has come up with actual clients of ours, that I sort of felt I knew where the government was coming from, if that made sense. You know what I mean? It's not like they actually have proof, but like the first time this ever came up for me was for a guy from Afghanistan, and this was an I-130 away, and this was a case where the U.S. citizen got called to USCIS for an interview in St. Louis where he lived, right? So they were able to get testimony from him that sure made it seem like he was married, right? So, and because so recording it or not is not the definitive factor that everybody thinks it is. I should probably do a video on this. People think, and it's really twisted the way that they do this because they play around with it. They play fast and loose. Sometimes they'll say marriages that they don't want to be a marriage aren't a marriage, and sometimes when they say a marriage, it's a fiancé is really married. It's only because it's outcome determinative. They have an outcome they want to reach, and they figure out a way to screw with people. Does that make sense?
That makes a whole lot of sense. Because if you think of it, there's more people out there in the world that act more like married couple when they present themselves as fiancés versus
Yeah.
people in the Islamic world who, don't have that kind of, I guess, marital activity, if that makes sense. But yet they still pin that against them. So
Yeah, and so if it's a country where there's a dowry and it's very formal, and if the embassy thinks there's no way in hell that this girl's father would let her go do things with the fiance if they were only engaged, that's when you lose. Does that make
gotcha.
sense?
That makes
That's really the way I frame it in my brain.
It's just bizarre, to be
Complete,
honest.
completely unscientific. Yeah, it's bizarre. It's bizarre.
All right, I appreciate you. But one more thing, a quick question on the other topic is I have my immigrant visa interview. Originally, it was on January 9. Now it's been moved to January 15.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I just want to know about the AR-11. I know that I have to, if I become an immigrant, a lawful permanent resident, I have to report my address changes. For the first 2 years, I'm planning to be outside the States and getting a re-entry permit. Can I use an address that is outside the States for the AR-11, or how do I go about that?
Wait, let's talk about this. So this is a marriage-based case or something else?
No, no, diversity visa.
So you won the diversity visa and are you gonna wait here until you actually get your green card?
Yes.
Are you gonna wait until you actually get your reentry permit?
Probably not.
Then you'll probably lose your green card.
Really?
Yeah.
But I know that as long as I leave after the biometrics, I'm allowed to
Yeah,
leave.
there's what you're allowed to, and there's what really happens. So
Okay.
if you leave, okay, so let's play it out. So you come to the United States. Let's say you get your immigrant visa on January 15th. You come to the United States on February 15th. On February 20th, you apply for a reentry permit. You get fingerprinted on March 20th, and then you leave the United States. I assume you're going to have the reentry permit sent to some mailbox that somebody can access for you.
Actually, the I-131 does allow it to be sent to the embassy outside the U.S. I
All
do
right.
live close
Well,
to the border, though. I live like an hour away, so I can pop in like once a week, once every 2 weeks. I live in Toronto.
so you be in Toronto.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, what's your long-term plan?
Just finish school here for the next 2 years and then move to the U.S.
Yeah. Well, then in that case, I might not mess with the reentry permit at all. You could, I guess, but I would just, if you're that close, I would make sure never have any trips more than 6 months.
Even if I don't reside in the U.S. Continuously for months, because I won't be able to do that in the interim.
No, you just have to break up the 6. You can't be gone for more than 6 months. So as long as you come back 1 week
Once
or
a month,
3 or 4 days, yeah, once a month would totally do it. But reentry permit's not going to hurt you, and you're going to have access to it. So, I mean, I would take the position that I have an American address and I happen to be in Canada from time to time, if that makes sense.
So keep the R11 a U.S. address.
Yeah.
All right, I
Yeah.
appreciate it, Jim. Thank you so much for being awesome. Thank you.
Good luck.
Sound
See you,
like
man.
Thank
Like
you.
him, son. All right. That was Unlucky January. We like those. We like those aliases. That's what we're doing these days. In 16 days, Donald Trump will be president. How about that? Wayfinder, hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What's going on?
Okay. LRIF applicant, the librarian.
Oh, wow. We've only had one of those cases. Okay.
Okay. I applied. I didn't have the paperwork because mine is not a straightforward issue. My parent was born there, so it was taking me time to get all the documentation I needed, because when it started, the only thing allowed was an expired passport. But we weren't aware that UCIS was updating and changing things, I guess because people were responding different ways. So anyway, I didn't get it, and I applied like days before the initial cutoff. But then they gave a 1-year extension, and I still wasn't able to provide the paperwork. And
Why?
And they, because like it had to go back to, they said I couldn't do it remotely, And what we thought was that they would give documentation to be able to leave and go and get the documentation and come back.
Mhm.
Initially, you know, when you apply, they tell you that you can apply for, I've forgotten the name of the documentation for you to be able to leave the country and come back.
The advanced parole.
Yes, but they never did that for anybody. That's what ended up happening.
Okay.
So, and a lot of times, like based on age, like things weren't digitized back. So like what you need people, so for some people, you need like a court employee to physically look for boxes based on the date your documentation was filed. It's more complicated than people think anyway. So anyway, I didn't
Okay.
get the documentation. So the bottom line now is they now sent me a letter middle of last year saying that they consider my application abandoned.
Okay.
And I wanted to know if, because now I'm being able to source the documents, but there's no way to like, I wanted to know if one could reopen the case, pretty much.
One could try. You could send them a letter and ask. So there's how much time has it been since they notified you that they thought that you were abandoning the case?
It was July of 2024.
Oh, so just like 6 months ago.
Right.
Do you have now everything that you need, or you think now you can get what you need?
I'm getting the paperwork to begin the process, because to my understanding, I still have to get the passport, but my relative has a copy of the document I need, but they'll be sending it to me this week, because it included like you going to pay someone to actually do the physical work of finding the documents. Because
Okay.
remember, this was during the war that it happened for me. So a lot of things is not how an American would think of how documents are kept.
Right. You just hop on the internet and print that shit out. Right.
Right.
So here's my question. When in the next 2 weeks, would it be sometime in the next 2 weeks, the next 2 months, the next 2 years that you would have everything that they've asked for?
I should be able to get like a passport within the next 2 months, because that would take another like 6 weeks. But within a week or two, I should physically have the document that I used to process the passport, because the passport itself is still a 6-week process.
Well, I mean, what you could do is either send them what you have or send them a written request to whichever office closed out your file saying it was abandoned. You write them a letter and say, I'm respectfully requesting that you reopen this case. It's called sua sponte, SUA, and then SPONTE. And you got to show good cause. You have to show them why you couldn't get them the stuff beforehand. I mean, this is a total Hail Mary. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but you send them a letter. You ask them to reopen it sua sponte, which means on their own motion, like out of their good graces, they decide to reopen your case. You need to explain to them why you have good cause for not giving them what you were asked to give them. And you have to show a likelihood of winning on the merits. So in other words, you have to show them that if you reopen the case, I will win and get my case approved because I have this thing now and I have the other thing coming, and I'll have all of it to you within 90 days or whatever. And then just see what happens.
Okay. Or do you think, since it will be like less than 90 days, I should just wait to have the passport in hand, or just start now, like this Monday, like today, send them the letter? Which one do you think?
That's a hard call.
Okay.
I mean, you've blown the 6 months. Do another 2. I mean, is it better to send everything all at once after 9 months, or is it better to send it piecemeal between months 6 and 9? I think it's probably better to send it all at once. And I do think you need a lawyer. Robert's right.
Okay. But just so you know, like the issues are documented like all over the internet, and they're actually requesting for another opening to be another time given. So it's not just a me issue.
Yeah, that's good. But the internet's not a source that you can rely on. I mean, what I mean is you can't cite the internet.
But could I cite sources on the internet? Like,
yeah, if you say like, I think opening with a paragraph, it's a well-documented problem that people from Liberia have been hard pressed to do this. This is why they've asked for another extension, and I'm hereby asking you to reopen my case.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Good luck. You got it. All right. Orlando is here. Hello, Orlando.
Hey, Jim, how you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. Happy New Year. I just had two questions. I remember after November 5th, you mentioned on one of your shows that you pretty much got off the the social media apps because X and all that they're driving me nuts, and seeing all the hatred and all that crap on there is just too much. So I know you mentioned on one of your shows that how do you get most of your updates from immigration related?
So because I'm a member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association, they send us a summary every day of all the things that happen agency wise, and then there's also a daily immigration news clips that is included in there. You could set up Google alerts. That's what I would do if I were like a regular person, not an immigration lawyer. You could set up Google alerts so that you get an email summary of whatever topics you want to list on there. That way, to me, it's all about, it's the mindlessness and the they call it doom scrolling. It's just that it's the activity more than the content, if that makes sense.
It does. It's just the content is getting more hateful every day, and it's just going to get worse. It's not going to get better. So I would love nothing more than to get rid of the the social media and just get the news that I really need. I don't want the stuff that I don't need, if that makes sense.
I appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. I totally get it. I've really enjoyed not being, I watched a ton of MSNBC before the election. I thought Kamala was going to win, but more importantly, I was just eating that stuff up. And it's just an anger delivery system on our side. I know that there's things that are outrageous, but we all have to like give ourselves mental space. Like I just read a physical book for the first time in a really long time, and it really felt great to read a physical book. So I'm just really trying to go less digital overall, and just to really try to just stay away, even from people on our side. It can be too much just listening to them.
True. I agree. Yeah. My final question to you, Jim, and is obviously the recent events that have happened have only been kind of targeted towards one community, and things are just going to get more hateful towards that community. So
because of New Orleans?
Yeah, New Orleans. And so my worry is, obviously my family and I are up for naturalization in a few months. So we were just kind of worried about what kind of targeting could happen that could end up screwing that for us, and probably many more of the faith that will be applying for either, green card or naturalization.
How soon do you get to apply?
Not for another 3-4 months.
Oh yeah, nothing's going to go into effect by then. I think you'll be under the old system most likely. You'll probably even be under the current naturalization exam, and I think it's going to take a long time for the hateful people running the agency to infuse that shit into the agency, and citizenship will be one of the last places that they focus on, because you're so far in the pipeline. I think they're going to be much more focused on the front end than the back end.
So for Muslims, you think that naturalization is not going to change?
No, I think naturalization is not going to change. I think overseas visas are going to change. I think letting people into the United States, whether they're spouses, whether they're international students, because they have almost complete discretion as to who they give visas to, complete discretion as to who they let into the United States. And it's much different for people that are in the United States who are already on a path, you already have a liberty interest in your green card. You already have a procedural due process argument for your citizenship case. So as I've said over and over, I think there's this invisible wall that's going to come up, and it's all about who's inside and who's outside. They have almost complete discretion in who they let in. But when it comes to continuing the process for people that are actually here, it's going to be a lot harder. They'll still try to slow things down, but it's going to be a lot harder for them to make massive substantive changes like they can like that on the border.
Okay, so mostly people that are not in, but for the people that are already in, they can't infuse. I mean, they get your application and they see that you're by your name that you're of that faith, that you're a Muslim. That's not a negative. That's not an immediate I would say, an immediate, sign of trouble for them that they could just, make it a lot more harder for you to?
Well, there is CARP, so we still have CARP, so we still have extra scrutiny for Muslims. But I think as far as frontline officers on a day-to-day basis treating not regular Muslims, but everyday Muslims differently, I think that's going to be a long. I think I'll be able to warn you of that long before it ever gets to you. Certainly 3 or 4 months from now.
Okay, but if it does, would we know?
I know you're not worried just about you too. So I get the point of the conversation. Will I know?
Or is it just by people that have gone in and have complained?
I think we'll know. I think we'll do FOIAs. We'll do, there'll be news stories. There'll be litigation. There'll be analysis. Yeah, I think in ways we'll know. It'll be sort of subjective. It'll be people on the show telling me weird shit that happens, and this is.
But it's not going to be so easy for them to just come in and discretionally just picking on people of that faith.
No, that would be that they could never. I mean, I shouldn't say this. It'd be very hard to do it overtly. Okay, so right now they have control of the Supreme Court, the Congress, and the presidency, the executive branch. So do I think that there's a chance that Congress could pass a law saying make it harder for Muslims to become citizens? I don't think that would, even with this court, I don't think that would fly under equal protection. And I don't know that there's the appetite to do it.
Well, again,
I think the bigger thing to fight about is, everything's portraying this guy in New Orleans as a Muslim. Well, he was also in the military, right? So, to me, they're picking and choosing what pictures they use. They're picking and choosing the narrative. And what we have to do is fight back that narrative.
Right. Well, it's not going to be so easy, because even after that, Jim, neighbors that used to say hello don't say hello. Neighbors' kids that used to play with your kids don't play with your kids anymore. So seeing that and having to go through that is, for me, is a sign of wow. Does that mean that when I walk into that office doing my naturalization interview or my wife and kids, is that what we're going to be? Is that how we're going to be treated? Or
probably by some officers, yeah.
Okay.
Not that that's fair, but also that doesn't mean you're not going to get your citizenship.
Right. So the treatment is one thing, but the law that's another thing. Is that what you're saying?
As of now, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Thank you so much for your help, Jim. I appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Take care. Alaikum salam.
Big ups to all the Yardies, says Phoenix. Good to hear from old Phoenix. All right. That was a sad call. Bummed me out a little, but I totally get it. And of course, I'm always the undercover Muslim. People don't know that I'm the Muslim. So when I go to the mosque, they think I'm the FBI. All right, let's go to AO. No, AO's gone. Let's go to Aziz. Aziz, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Jim. How are you? Happy New Year.
Great. How are you doing? Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. I'm glad that you're doing all these shows, and I'm really grateful for this. I don't know how you find time for this, but we're all thankful.
I love it. Thanks. Go ahead.
I got a I-30 and I-485 pending based on marriage.
Yep.
I attended my interview. And I'm still waiting for more than 120 days. By New Year, everything changed, and I got something called domestic violence from my spouse, and everything got reported, but I didn't press charges, and I didn't do what we call the restraining order for her.
Yeah.
So I heard something about the VAWA, so I want to know if I can apply for that, and will that affect my work permit and advanced parole?
Well, let's back up. So,
All
number
right.
one, right now, are you safe?
Yeah.
And are you living apart or separately?
We still living together. I just I notify her that we gonna file divorce. because I have video recording that, so she know that she is that she. I don't think she gonna do anything anymore, but I don't know.
So tell me about your interview.
Well, the interview, we they put it separate, and they got ask us question. Not all the answer match, and that's it. Like it's normal. I'm not expecting too much from the interview. They just I don't know. My lawyer told me we gotta wait. You might have an intent of deny. So
And why? Why? Because the answers didn't match, or what?
yeah, not all the answers did match.
So here's the $1 million question for me.
Yes,
At the time that you married your spouse, were you in status or were you out of status?
out of status.
Yeah. So I think out of status. How long were you out of status for?
Um, I would say a year.
And you entered on what kind of a visa?
B1, B2 visa.
And when you entered on your B1, B2 visa, what did you do?
I did. I did apply for extension, but I got the deny.
Well, what was the purpose of the trip, I guess is my question.
Taking care of a relative because he was kind of sick. And
Okay, and so
this
after
my
you
second. It
arrived,
was my second visa. I'm sorry. It was my second visit to the United States.
and did you in fact go take? So wait, on this trip, did you take care of the sick relative on the last trip or this trip?
On the last trip, which is
So
this one.
you had a multiple entry, what, 5-year visa?
Yeah, yes, 10 years visa.
A 10-year visa. Okay, so when you came to the United States this time, where did you land and where did you go?
Well, this time was to help the relative, and I
Okay.
stayed with him for a while.
How long?
A 6 months.
Okay, and when did you meet the person that you married?
After that, a while with a common friend, and we dated for a while, and then we dated for like 6 months, and then we got married.
If USCIS came and showed up at your house today and talked to her, what would she say?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't know because I don't know. She threat sometimes. She said, "Hey, I don't know what." Sometimes she's nice, sometimes she's not. So if the USS shows up, I think she will go along.
On a
But
scale
she
of
will
one,
tell them we have a fight and that's it, like a normal thing.
so here's what we have. We have a guy who's out of status, who probably wants to stay in the United States, ends up marrying a U.S. citizen. Is she of the same religious and/or ethnic background as you?
No.
Okay. So I have an out of status guy who came on a visit, tried for an extension, didn't get it, didn't leave, married someone of a different ethnic or religious background. They got married after 6 months. When did the I-130 get filed?
April 2024.
Oh, so you got your interview pretty quickly.
Yes. Yeah. I got
So
to lucky.
with Biden, waiving interviews in most cases, then we have to say to ourselves, okay, so we have somebody who was out of status, married someone outside their own ethnic or religious background, who didn't do so well at the interview, who filed a complaint of domestic violence against his spouse, and now wants to file a VAWA claim, but is still living with the spouse.
Yeah, well, I didn't file. She called the cops on herself.
She called the cops on herself?
Yeah.
Why?
She was threatening me with a knife, so I started recording. It's a little crazy. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I think it's so what's your short-term plan and your long-term plan? Are we saying the marriage is over?
It's been happened a lot of times, so and especially happened like in the New Year Eve, and it's it's for me. I don't think I could let this happen again. I don't think I will start my year with all this again. So I'm trying to see what's my options, um, what I can do. I'm definitely I can't try to save the marriage anymore because even all the people around me told me that you might not be safe, and if
Sounds like
you're
it.
gonna keep this happen.
Has she ever been treated for mental health stuff?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah, yeah. Like whenever she with me, yeah, because that's what we trying to see what's going on. Like maybe she needs someone to talk to. So yeah, when she with me, yes. But before,
But I
I don't
mean,
know.
do you know whether she's ever had any treatment, like to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist or anything?
Yes, yes.
So to me, this sounds like a pretty tough VAWA case. Maybe it's. I mean, they're suspicious as heck of you right now. You've ticked off a lot of the fraud indicators, right?
Yes.
You
Okay.
married out of status, all the things that I recounted. You had a bad interview that made your lawyer think that you might get a notice of intent to deny, and then it seems like sort of a Hail Mary, a last minute, last ditch chance. Because if you get divorced, you don't get any benefit out of that marriage. So that case is over, and they're frankly just waiting for the marriage to fall apart, right? That's why they haven't approved
Okay.
it. So I think, what do I think are the chances of a VAWA case based on what you told me? I think maybe 20%.
20%. Would you take that case? Would you try to?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think our team would work on this case. I don't think they'd get mad at me for signing that case up. It's a tough case, as long as you understand how tough it is.
Okay. But I might lose everything.
Yeah. Send me an email.
Okay. All right. I
It's
appreciate
Aziz.
your time.
Sorry, man.
Bye.
Later. All right. This is the Immigration Answer Show. My name is Jim Hacking. I'm an immigration attorney practicing law throughout the United States, out of our offices in St. Louis, San Diego. And look at that. Sunny Syracuse. The sun is out. Can you guys see? The sun is out here in Syracuse. That's crazy. We saw the moon most of the drive up here last night, but then once the clouds rolled in, I knew I was in trouble. Hina sent me a Slack. Let me see what I can see. I always like getting Slacks from Hina. Hina says, "Oh, all right. This is a question somebody was feeding her son. I'm a U.S. citizen, and I filed. This is AO. Hello, AO. I'm a U.S. citizen, and I filed Form I-130 for him. What annoys me is that since he's only 8 months old, the only visa I can get for him is a B2 visa. And if you go to the U.S. with a B2 visa and file Form 485, then it's considered fraud. The waiting times are really crazy. I'm a single mom. I want to start a new life with my son. There's no custody issue either, since I was never married. So the only thing in our way right now is the I-130 and processing times. They are all outside of the U.S. So I guess my question, AO, is: are we sure this person, the child, isn't a U.S. citizen? Are you sure that you don't have enough time as a citizen in the United States? If not, then I think you're right. If you get a visit visa, that would be fraud. So and that could even be human trafficking. So I think you've got to focus on the I-130, as much as that sucks. But again, I think that if you want our help, we could help you with it, but nothing's going to happen fast. That's just how it is. All right. Courtney's here. Hello, Courtney.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy New Year.
Same to
Uh,
you.
I just had a quick question. So, I just learned about job zones, and this is concerning the H-1B visa. So I
Okay.
had a conversation with my lawyer, and she was like, my job zone is in the job zone 3, and that's not good, so it's not gonna work." I wanted to ask, I'm in the accounting field. I wanted to ask
Yeah.
how relevant the job zones are. What job zone must you be in?
Um,
Is it really a detriment?
well, what is the job that you are wanting to have?
So I currently work as my job title, which I came in when I started, is as an accounting clerk, and I am up for a review to become an auditor. And so I was wondering if that will do anything. But she basically said my title doesn't work for the H1B.
I would defer to. So let's talk about. Okay, so what is the degree that's typically required for either of those, whichever the higher position job is that you think?
A bachelor's minimum.
A bachelor's minimum in what?
Mhm. In business, finance, accounting,
It's too
something.
soft. It's way too soft.
Really?
Yeah, I'm down with your lawyer. It's way too soft. In other words, when something's that broad, that means there's lots of people that are doing that job without that degree. And if there's lots of people doing that job without that degree, then it's not a specialty occupation for purposes of H-1B.
Okay. So if my company does want to keep me, though, what options do they have? Oh, they can't.
What's your
For
degree in?
context, my degree is actually funny, is a BBA International Business, concentration finance accounting.
Sounds real
And
soft. Sounds real soft to me. Sounds like a
yeah,
real stretch with H-1B, especially with the new H-1B standards. I think this would be a tough case. I think even if you get selected, I think it wouldn't work.
can it also be based on not just degree, but like skill? Because one of the reasons I got hired is because of my tech skills, even though I have a business degree.
It's not a tech job, so I don't see how that would help.
Mm,
You can't
okay.
paste together a bunch of stuff and make an H-1B. It's the job. It's, part of the job is the qualifications and what everyone in the industry is doing, and then the other one is the person themselves. So it seems tough.
Okay. That's okay then.
Good luck, Courtney.
Thanks.
See ya. All right. Let's go to Ed. Hi, Ed. Ed,
Good
are you
morning,
there?
Jim. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm okay, but I'll get over it. I've got a question. I am going back to the Philippines. My fiance and I have been together since the 7th of 23. Made 2 trips this last year to the Philippines. I'm going back the 25th of this month. We're getting married in February. And I'm coming back and we're going to file her spousal visa. And I'm looking for attorneys to do this for me. If you were in my shoes, didn't know anything about it, and looking for attorneys, what questions would you be asking immigration attorneys to find out if they're qualified? Because I'm finding thousands across the United States.
Well, what is the people that you've seen so far that you didn't like? What disqualified them for you?
The amount of money that they're charging and their particular knowledge on the country that I'm dealing with.
Well, you know that the Philippines, the consulate's like one of the slowest ones of all, right?
Yes.
Is there an age gap?
Yes, there is. I'm 56. She's 31.
Okay, that's not terrible.
Not as bad, but yes.
How about prior marriages?
2, and I do have both my divorce. I got all of my paperwork in line already.
Did either of those divorces involve someone getting an immigration benefit?
No.
So this is the first time you've had an overseas one?
Correct.
Okay. So I love this question. As an immigration attorney, I love this question, and this is going to be fun for me. So what would I look for in an immigration attorney? This is so great. Okay. Number 1, I would want to make sure that they're a member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. I think that's almost like a disqualifier. If they're not a member of AILA, they are probably not keeping up to, not for sure. There's some people that have a moral objection to the American immigration. There's some lawyers that hate AILA. But other than that, that's something that I think is important, because that's how someone asked me earlier, how do I keep up on things? That's how I keep up on things. Number two is, do they do anything? I think this might even be number 1. Do they do anything other than immigration, right? Like the ones that worry me are, I do immigration, I do car accidents, I do wills, I do, to me, that's a disqualifier. Then I would say, number 3, how many I-130s with USCIS have you handled? Like, what's your procedures? How do you know, Mr. or Mrs. Lawyer, how to put a case together? Like, what's the format?
Yes.
Do you feel like you have those qualifications? Then, are you experienced in dealing with the National Visa Center, which is the next stage? Because some people really F up cases at the National Visa Center. And then the last one would be how, like you said, how familiar are you? How many cases have you handled with the embassy in Manila? And like, what's your experience been? What should I expect? What are processing times look like? Those kinds of things. What can I do to make our case stronger? Then with the age gap, I would spend some time asking them, well, how do you handle age gap cases? And what are you going to do to prepare my future wife for her embassy interview? And then my last question to you is, what do you think is a lot of money for having a lawyer help you through all those processes for the next 2.5 years?
Well, I think it's going to be more of a 5-year process to finish everything out. That's if I stay. I mean, I'm so aggravated with the U.S. government right now. I'm ready to take my ball and my money and just go to the Philippines and live there forever, because I don't care about getting her green card. She doesn't care about it either. I would like for her to be able to come here, travel the United States with me. I'm an over-the-road truck driver, so I've sold my house and everything else. She just wants to be able to travel with me here, and when we go, I want to be able to spend 2 or 3 months in other countries. So I would like for her to be able to get her American passport, to where that would free us up to go to other countries to visit for periods of time.
I think it's worthwhile. I know you're frustrated with the government, and I know this particular process is going to piss you off for a really long time because it's so maddening. But I do think at the end of the day, if you can get her here, get her green card, and then 3 years later she gets her citizenship, then you guys can go live in the Philippines or wherever you want. I would strongly encourage you, especially with you having been here for so long. I wouldn't want you to go to the Philippines now and sort of, let's say we're talking 3 years from now and you've just been living in the Philippines, because I get this call all the time. Hey, Jim, I have been waiting. I've been hanging out here in the Philippines for the last 3 years. I haven't been back to America because the government's pissing me off. And I quit my job. I sold everything. I have no real ties to the United States anymore. I want to bring my spouse now and get him a green card. That can slow things down in and of itself, because you yourself, the U.S. citizen, haven't been residing here. So then they say, hey, why should we give your spouse a green card if you don't even reside here?
Okay, I understand. And I do have, the only ties that I have here now is my work, and I've got a house for sale that I built 2 years ago. I'm never there, so I put it back on the market. I don't need it. I don't ever go there. So I just have, a couple $100,000 sitting there that I don't need it there. I'll put that in my options. I do options trading as well with my money that I do make. So I don't need that. And are they going to, the USCI, they're going to look at that?
I would just make a plug then to take a little bit of that money and pay a lawyer who knows what they're doing. To me, I wouldn't get too wrapped up in the exact cost. To me, it's like, do I want to handle all this shit myself for the next 3 years?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we'd be happy to help you.
Okay, I appreciate your call, and I've got that all wrote down, and I'll be in touch with you.
Thanks, Ed. See you, buddy. That was great. That was one of my favorite calls in a long time. Hina, add that one to the callers of the week. Optimus, do you want to be on camera? Give me a thumbs up. You're good?
I don't care. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Good, brother. Good to see you.
Good to see you and good to talk to you again. I was going to call the office, but I'm like, I'll just come on the show and talk. So I have 3 things. I have 3 questions. One political question, 2 case-related questions. One is mine. So just so you know, my I-130 got approved yesterday.
Nice. Congrats.
But to provide some background and context, we submitted, the team at the office has been helping me. We submitted the waiver in December.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, do they approve it that quick? I know it's not the waiver. I know it's the I-130. You understand? It's been on file since 2022. It was just approved yesterday. So I was just wondering, because everything happened so fast. The only thing pending now is the I-485.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if that's a common thing, if when cases are tied up like that, and they go ahead and approve the I-130, because I was in my mind, I was like, this is going to take a minute. It's going to take some time. So, but then seeing that it was approved maybe like 2 weeks later, I was like, okay, seems like a good sign. What can I expect? So that's one. What do you think about it?
I think the filing. So the waiver was filed when?
December 16, exactly. That was when we submitted.
Yeah, so I think that probably triggered them to go back and look at the case, and there's somebody, whoever had it, probably decided it was about time to adjudicate the I-130. So, I mean, the waivers that are going to be adjudicated in the United States for a 485, those obviously go a lot faster than other waivers, but there's no way to know. I don't think you can read too much into it.
Okay. Just to provide some context, you recall that I filed a writ of mandamus to get it moving in the first place. So I don't know if that has any influence in what's happening, but
Sure, if the case is still on file, that's going to make everything go faster.
Yeah, the judge is expecting a status update from them on Monday.
Yeah.
So
that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's for that. The other thing I want to ask
that'll be the status update for the judge is, oh yeah, we just approved the I-130 and we're working on the waiver. Yeah. That's what the status update will be.
Yeah. So the second question I have is my sister is here. She's an F1 student, and she's on path for the NIW. Recently applied, getting everything together. Now our fiance is in the country as an F1 student. Is there a possibility to add him to the case? How can they do it? I don't know anything about it, so I said I was going to ask you.
So is an I-140 on file yet?
Yeah, I believe she submitted her application. Yeah, she was. I really don't know how they do it in that way, but I know she was qualified, and then they asked her to submit the application for the green card itself, which she did last December as well, and then she's expecting everything to go through. It was sent in last December. So I was just said, okay, I'm going to ask you.
I would say that I'd want to see the timeline, and I'd want to see what she had, where exactly she is. And they're not married yet, right?
Well, they're planning to get married. So I was like, well, I don't know what this would mean, but
most likely, if her green card gets approved, either she sponsors him as a spouse of a green card holder, which would take 3 years, or if they get married before the 485 is adjudicated, maybe there's a way that she can be added, or he can be added to that. It all depends on the timing. And then there is a provision called follow to join if they do get the green card, but it all depends on the timing is going to be really important. So neither of us should shoot around in the dark. We should look at the straight timeline.
Yeah. So the thing is, I'm planning on getting married soon. So I was like, hold on, you are in America. There's some immigration implications to what you want to do. Why don't you ask questions? If it's something you can get married and there's no, any negative impact, if you can still be added to the case, you guys can then both take that decision. But I'm fine with you guys getting married. She just submitted like maybe 3 weeks ago. So it's still going to take some time.
Remember once he gets married, then he's soon to be the spouse of a green card holder, which makes things trickier being on an F1 if he has to leave or come back.
Yeah.
So I think the questions are good. I just can't tell you without looking at the timeline.
When you say timeline, what exactly are you talking about?
When the I-140 was filed, if the I-140 was approved, if so, when did they get married, and the date of the marriage, and then when did she file the 45? Was the 45 adjudicated or not? I'd have to look at all that to figure out if he can be added or if it's just going to be a straight, she gets her green card and applies for him.
Okay. I guess I'll just have them call the office. They're not married yet. They're engaged.
You can have her email me. You have my email. Just have her email me.
Okay. So my third question is a political question. What are your thoughts on birthright citizenship? What I've heard a lot of chatter about it, so I just want to know.
I think it's a wet dream of the far right that they've been dreaming about for a really long time. I think it's a huge stretch to think that they will be able to get the court to agree with them, but they're sure as hell going to try. I think the case law is against them, but the Supreme Court's sort of a joke, so they could do anything.
Because I have read that, I have heard that is said done, first is going to implement that with an executive order, and if that doesn't work, it's going to the Congress, it's this and that.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking to myself, like, this looks like correct me if I'm wrong. I do believe when such things happen, there's also all sort of lawsuits and cases and trying to stop all those things. It's tied up in courts and all that.
And there's also this thing called the ex post facto clause, which prohibits Congress from making things retroactive. They could say if they pull it off, it might just be forward looking, but I don't think they're even going to get there. I don't think they can pull it off.
Okay.
But then again, I thought Kamala was going to win, so what the fuck do I know? See you, buddy.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. All right. That's our old friend. Let's go to Canadian. Hello, Canadian. You're on mute. Canadian, are you there?
Hey there, sorry about that. Can you hear me?
No worries. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, first off, thank you very much for what you're doing here.
Sure.
So I'm actually the beneficiary. My wife applied for my I-130 about mid-year, so 6 months ago or so. So my first question is, I heard that applying for a K3 would kind of nudge USCIS to look at your application, and it may process the I-130 faster. I just wanted to see what you have to say for that.
I believe that's an old wives' tale that hasn't been true for almost 10 years, but it still floats around the internet as if it's gospel.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I won't waste my time on that. And just my second question is, around the time I got married, I actually applied for a legal name change. So I applied for my wife applied for my I-130 in my new name. Now, my marriage certificate is in my old name, right? And I did submit the name change certificate along with that. So my question is, will USCIS see that as some sort of error on my part of not submitting a corrected marriage certificate, or should I send my marriage certificate back to the government, wait 2 months, and then refile with a new certificate in the new name?
I think it'll be the embassy. You're in Canada?
Yes. So, yeah.
I think it'll be the embassy in Montreal that'll give you more grief about this. So I would try to clean it all up before you get to that stage and you have time. Okay. So I wouldn't refile or anything. This is as long as we can demonstrate that this was for a good reason and that you are you, I don't think it's going to be overall a big issue.
Okay, so in this case, would I just wait until my I-130 is approved and then sent to Montreal and then update or send in the updated marriage certificate? Because as soon as I send in my certificate to change to my new name, it invalidates it. So if USCIS were to check the serial number, it wouldn't match. So I'm just wondering when to submit this, and yeah.
So as of right now, the I-130 has your new name. So yes. you change your name between the time that you got married and the time you filed the I-130.
So right? Actually, the date on my name change certificate is a day before I got married. So that's the day on my name change certificate. But by the time it arrived, yeah. So for example.
So wait, okay, so let's just do it like this.
Yeah.
So when you were born, your name was Joe Brown.
Yeah.
You filed a change of name application that got approved on March 1st, 2024. You got married and then your name went from Joe Brown to Phil Smith. Then on March 2nd, your marriage certificate was issued and it was for Phil Smith, not for Joe Brown, right?
Sorry, I'm having trouble keeping the names in my head. But so basically, I applied to change my name before I got married.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the government processed it the day before I got married. Right?
You got married in your old name.
I got married in my old name.
Yeah.
Right? But so my old name was also on the marriage license before I got married. And then I get married
Yeah.
And then, so all my passports and everything are in my new name. My marriage certificate is still in my old name because of how it got processed and when I received it. So,
how long has your I-130 been on file?
7 months.
I think I might like the answer you gave, or the question, or the solution you raised earlier, which is maybe invalidating your marriage license and starting over. This is really confusing, and what I don't want is for you to wait 2 more years and then have this all blow up in your face.
Yeah, no, gotcha. So my like I'm kind of worried here because obviously like everything should be in the same name, right?
Yeah.
The timing here matters because if I send my marriage certificate back to the my provincial government in Canada, they might take a month or 2, right, to process that and send me back my new marriage certificate. Now the
But
problem is,
isn't there a 3% chance that your marriage license with your old name on it was invalid because your name had been legally changed the day before?
I don't think so because, oh, yeah, no, that's a good point.
That's what I'm worried about. That's what I mean by 2 years from now, the consulate in Montreal, which does like to cause mischief,
Right.
says, hey, this marriage license was never valid because you weren't Joe Brown anymore on the day you got married. You were your new name.
Yeah, but the thing is, the day that they changed my name on the system, the certificate was still in transit, right? So I didn't receive it until 2
Yeah.
weeks after that.
I know.
Yeah.
No, but you're operating from the idea that they're going to act in good faith. And I don't believe they act in good faith.
I guess so.
I think they look for ways to cause mischief.
For sure. So
it's sunk cost. Do you want to roll the dice and wait another year and a half and see if this blows up? Or do you want to say, oh, I screwed that up a little bit. I lost 6 months on an I-130, but I'm worried that this one wasn't valid.
Okay. So in my mind right now, USCIS is definitely not going to improve my I-130 anytime soon because it's only been 6 or 7 months. So I should send my marriage certificate back, right? Get it changed to the new name, and then take that and, I don't know, maybe write some sort of lawyerly letter to USCIS being like, hey, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go, I guess, right?
Yeah, for everybody else watching, don't mess with your name around the time that you get married, right? And don't, I always tell people, if you want to change your name, that's great, but wait until you become a U.S. citizen to do it. That's what I always tell people. But good luck, Canadian.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Yep, for sure. All right, everybody, we went a little bit over. I got to get out of here. We got to make a run for the airport. It looks like the sun is out, which is God's mercy. Hopefully we'll make it. Let's see. I haven't heard anything. Oh, yeah, next show. I'm traveling this week. We might not have a show this week, I hate to say, but we'll see. No show tomorrow. Thank you, Hina. Text the word show to 314-470-3300 and we'll get you alerted whenever let's see how our flight's doing. Whenever delayed. Here we go. All right, guys. Peace out. We'll see you later.
I'm great about that, other than trying to help people who are in a state of invasion.